all 80 of you. We are on a voyage, we are on a journey. We have the end goal in sight. But this is not an easy journey. And I understand that. All of you are putting in your best to make sure that we shine bright. Nothing, as Prime Minister has said, nothing is today in Amrit Kal, a country that's in her Amrit Kal, going towards her Shatabdi Kal. Nothing is impossible for us. And we've shown that. And I think if there is one best example of that, that's our endeavors in space. We've done today what no other country in the world could do. We placed a vehicle on the south pole of the moon. No human and no country has been there before. Whether it's Vikram lander, whether it's Chandrayaan 3, we've done it all. So this we can do, and yes, all your combined efforts we will do. Intellectual capability and the sheer, we talk about quantum computing. I mean, we've got multiple levels of quantum computing in this room here with all of you. I mean, take me out of the equation because I'm the only non-tech leader. I mean, even MOS is a techie and secretary is a techie. So, the capability here is tremendous. So, number one, don't doubt yourself. Number two, we can do it. And number three, we will do it. I've mentioned it before and I'm saying it again, we are here to assist you. We are here to be your partners. And please go back with that notion. 4 quick points I want to make. One, what we're doing here is we're leapfrogging. We weren't there in 2G, we weren't there in 3G, we weren't there in 4G. We finally made it in 5G. And now we made it to the club of 4G equipment makers. Only 4 in the world, we are the 5th. So we are leapfrogging. What you guys are doing in 6G is actually a leapfrog. And it's not a leapfrog for you guys in industry alone. It's a leapfrog for India, and I dare say it's a leapfrog for the world. Because you carry a voice. You carry the voice of 17% of the world's population. You carry the voice of the second largest telecom market in the world. So you guys are heavy hitters. And we've got to position ourselves in that 3GPP, ITU, whatever body it is, with that confidence and with that voice. India can no longer be ignored. You can no longer be ignored. And with that in mind, number one, I think we need to look at the whole value chain. Number two, we need to look at degrees of complexity, as MOS has said, and how do we break that complexity down? You break a difficult problem into small pieces, it becomes solvable. And finally, what I'd like to see from the next meeting is, and I think that should be part of the minutes of this meeting, what is it that we propose to accomplish in the next quarter across these 7 years? And the next meeting should be just confined to the minutes of this meeting. This is what we have decided to accomplish in the next quarter. Here is where we are with respect to that. Because otherwise we are looking at macro pictures every time, and the devil is always in the details. So I see this wonderful Gantt chart every time of what we're going to do over the next 3 years, but I don't know what we've done in the last 3 months. So let's just focus on that. And let's just look at micro pieces, because when we join those quarterly progresses, then you'll have traction in terms of where we want to get. So those were my macro points, 3 points. Again, I'm repeating. 1, we're leapfrogging. 2, look at the whole value chain. 3, look at complexity and break it down. And number 4, look at quarterly targets, and let's only talk about quarterly targets. Now, if I get into the individual working groups, technology led by Sivarajanji, you talked about sensing, localization, energy efficiency. Why can't we look at and this goes in line with what the TDSI gentleman said on my left, why can't we look at making Indian standards? The time has come not to adapt the global standards to India, but to adapt the Indian standards to the world. And you're doing that with the concept of ubiquity that you have taken to the world, right? But why can't we look at adapting Indian standards? So, come up with Indian standards and get the world to adopt those Indian standards. That should be our goal, as opposed to conforming to what the world wants. So that's on technology. On spectrum, David Pillai Sahab had given us a presentation. What I think I'd like to learn is how can worldwide trends impact India going forward? You said in your presentation that we're already taking into account a lot of this stuff. But I think it's important to be able to see whether you're looking at bands, whether you're looking at how carve-out should be, how will that impact us going forward? Because we're doing a lot of spectrum refarming and all of that sort of stuff. We've just refarmed close to 687 megahertz, is that right? So you've got close to about 1,587 megahertz out of what you need, 2000 to 2030. So we've got another 413 megahertz to get for you guys, which we're already doing. Secretary is already activated on that with the costs committee and secretaries. But how will those worldwide trends impact? What is it that we should be looking at? So that's the second group. The third group on devices and components, led by Professor Bhaskar. Are there issues with regard to raw materials for these devices and components? If so, what are those issues? We've got the principal scientific advisor here with us. He can take those inputs from you, right? I don't know whether there are issues, but I just thought I'd flag that. What is the whole value chain for these devices and components? How do we get that value chain together? Point number 2. Point number 3, India is a different market, and we've shown that with services in the area of telecom, in the area of broadband connectivity. We've also shown that with regard to products across different sectors. So will it be here. The whole tension between volume and pricing. So this is not Europe, this is not the US way. If you produce high volume, you can lower your price, right? How is that going to affect the capability of producing devices and components? We go for a standard product, a standard device, which can be proliferated to a greater degree, and therefore it drops our pricing. So what is the tension there? You need to bring an economist into your group to be able to bridge that tension, right? So those are my 3 comments on devices and components. On application, Ravi Gandhiji. So I think what's very important here is how can you get entrepreneurs, academic institutions, all of that to be part of your change movement. So if you study the model of Germany, for example, right? Why has Germany been so successful with regard to manufacturing? Because Germany, straight after World War II, or even Japan in that case, reinstated its capability and its prowess across the world because they brought together all stakeholders. So it wasn't only private firms. They brought together universities, they brought together end users, all of them to work together to champion new product design. How can we do that with regard to application here in India? With 6G use cases of Sandeep's presentation. Again here, I'm going to go back to the comment I made earlier, which, why can't we identify India-centric use cases? And I think that goes in line with what MOS has said and the TDSI gentleman has said. So you do stuff which is 3GPP and ITU and all that. I'm not saying divorce yourself from that. But also identify our own use cases, which may be unique to us. So be ubiquitous, but be unique as well. So the W, your Where's Sandeep? Okay, so your notion has to be W. That has to be the value proposition of your team. Uniqueness and ubiquity, both. Okay? Outreach, Pankaj. I think it's very important to be able to educate the world in India. So when you come up with a new technology or a new product, it's great to have innovation. But unless your consumers in the world know about it, it's useless. So road shows, brand building for India, it needs to be pushed tremendously. So all this computing brain power and all the stuff that's happening here, unless it gets out, हिंदी में पुरानी कहावत है कि जंगल में मोर नाचा किसने देखा, right? We need to be able to broadcast what B6G is doing to the world. And I dare say, I don't think many other countries have this sort of a working equation between entrepreneurs, academicians, industry, and if I may say so, also government, all working together. I don't know whether they do quarterly meetings like this, and you guys, I don't know how many working group meetings you guys have all the time. So I think it's important to be able to broadcast that. Raise the ante for other alliances as well. Hey guys, look, this is what we are doing. What are you guys doing? And if they are doing more than us, then that's a revelation for us as well. Okay? So that's my comment on your presentation. Please have a seat. So in conclusion, I think it's also important for these 7 groups. What I'm scared about, and I mean, I'm sure you guys are doing it, but what I'm scared about is the minute you start dividing a group up into 7, they do a lot of work within the group, but they stop talking to each other. And if you stop talking to each other, I'm coming up with a technology, but he hasn't got the spectrum in place for me to permeate that technology. And he doesn't have the devices. And he doesn't have the use cases. So I've been working in a silo and I've come up with something great. But I'm not talking to these 3 guys. But if I don't talk to them, then what I'm doing is useless. So you guys need to, I don't know, I hope you guys are talking to each other, and if you are, that's fine, that's great. But I'm just a little wary that if you're not, please do that. And I would very strongly suggest that every month you guys need to, the 7 working groups need to sit together. It's really important. You can do it virtually, but do that. Because that's how camaraderie is also built. That's how a team is also built. Otherwise, you're the boss of your own team, and you think you're the boss, but you're not a boss. You're just a cog in the wheel. I'm a cog in your wheel. Right? So unless I talk to you, I'm not going to be successful. And that's why I'm calling you guys every quarter. Otherwise, as a minister, minister makes a very profound statement in front of the media and all of that, that's done. But I don't like doing that until I get into the weeds of it. I roll up my sleeves and get into the weeds of it. So please talk to each other. Okay? And I also want to acknowledge here that it's very important that we, as MOS said, funding is not an issue. But let me say funding is an issue. So funding is not an issue and it is an issue. Principal scientific advisors also said we've got so much funds and all that, but it is also an issue. And I think, as far as we're concerned, we need to step up to the plate. And a lot of these projects have taken a long time to get approval from DOE and TPDF. And I'd like the principal scientific advisor to take up that issue as well. And I want to be very candid up front. It's on my dashboard, I've been following it up, but things are just going back and forth. But I'm going to be at it, but I want to be very candid with you guys. And I've spoken to Secretary as well. We need to get this thing moving. So I'm going to be writing a letter to the Department of Finance saying that this project has been pending with you guys for so long and there have been so many back and forths, but we need approval now. Because unless I get that approval, I can't get that money. Okay? So, thank you very much, and I look forward to the next meeting. I've been extremely candid, so take it in the right spirit, and I'm open to feedback as well in terms of if you want me to improve in any way. Thank you so much.